thinking back to that Tommy Davis interview, and I know it's old news, but there's something about it that really, really bothered me on a deep level. And I wanted to talk about it with you all. Basically, what really bothered me on a very deep level was Tommy Davis's complete and utter inability to describe what Scientologists basically believe. And what was so disturbing about that was that Scientologists are so fond of extolling just how great they are at making people into great communicators. And ever since that interview with Tommy Davis, it really has me asking the question, why do so many Scientologists suck at communicating? Why do so many of them epically fail at it? And then, today, I come across an old gem on Xenu TV, and Xenu TV is home to many old gems. It was a TV broadcast on British TV called The Shrinking World of L. Ron Hubbard. In 1968, L. Ron Hubbard was interviewed by British television. And one of the questions that was asked of Mr. Hubbard, source, the Commodore, he was asked, "I wondered, Mr. Hubbard, if you could explain simply to a layman what Scientology is." And I'll spare you the bad Hubbard impersonation that I'm rather fond of. I think that would be a relatively easy idea because it actually is a subject which is designed for the layman. And if you couldn't explain it to the layman, you would have a very difficult time on it. The subject, the name means Scio, which means knowing how to know in the fullest sense of the word. Ology, which is study of, so it is actually study of knowingness. That is what the word itself means. And the journalist cuts him off. To me, that doesn't mean very much. I don't understand that. I mean, what does it do for you, in theory? Fair question. It increases one's knowingness. But if a man were totally aware of what was going on around him, he would find it relatively simple to handle any outnesses. Note, that word not only is not an English word, but it is not even defined in any Scientology dictionaries. After 3 hours of talking, we never got an explanation from him that we could understand. Now, if anything L. Ron Hubbard said that I just read to you made any sense, well, you need to check your nose, and you probably still have that LSD stamp on your tongue. This is LRH. This is Source. This is the man that unlocked the key to mankind's misery. This is the man that came up with the only workable mental technology, and he is completely and utterly unable to explain what the hell it is in a way that makes any goddamn sense. And people are shelling out money for it? People are breaking their backs for this? People are getting fair gamed for this? Forgive me, this pisses me off. I have an allergy, and I have an allergy to articulated BS. And everything that came out of Hubbard's mouth was pretty much articulated BS. And I'm getting a little beside myself here, but I think back to that video I did where I talked about the communication courses and how they were designed to make it harder for a person to think critically. How it was conditioning their minds for Scientology material. How it dulled and destroyed and obliterated their capacity to think critically. Well, I am now convinced, thinking back to RPF, Tommy Davis, and L. Ron Hubbard, his words there, I'm now convinced that those communication courses also serve another purpose. And it is to actually destroy a person's capacity to communicate effectively. Now, I'll qualify that a little bit. I would submit to you that it makes a person a better communicator among fellow Scientologists. That's the only communication that it improves. However, I am convinced, unless someone can show me otherwise, I am convinced that it completely and utterly destroys a person's ability to communicate with the outside world. And I think that's deliberate. I think that's something the organization wants to do. Because, well, a Scientologist tries to communicate with someone in the WOG world, a WOG journalist, a curious relative. Well, the WOG, the non-Scientologist, is going to be very, very turned off by what the Scientologist has to say about Dianetic technology or whatever. And, well, the Scientologist is probably going to come off with the impression, well, you know what? LRH was right. He was absolutely right. I can't even communicate with these people anymore. I'm on such a higher level. And that's all a little abstract, a little too abstract there, but what it's doing in a very simple sense here, what it's doing is it's increasing the distance between people. It's making it harder for human beings to foster relationships. And, that probably goes back to that insidious, horrible, inhumane policy of disconnection. But I believe I've just found myself another reason to oppose Scientology, to speak out against it. As human beings are such lonely creatures, and that's why we communicate so much. And we have this so-called technology that helps to dull that. And that, for me, is an unforgivable crime. That's all I have for you right now. Thank you for listening. And as always, peace, victory, and as always, drive safe. Crazy Delaney out.